Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the JKWD podcast. I apologize for the deep sexy, but, sometimes germs hit us and say, hey, this looks like a good place to live for a while. Hey, Kelvin, how you doing?
Better than you. Oh, man, I'm doing good. I don't have any germs assaulting me. Life is good. Not stuck on any airplanes and thunderstorms for hours and hours on a tarmac. And so I'm going to just go down in history as saying I don't have a thing to complain about today.
All right.
Not a thing.
Well, what I can tell you is that, I've got this, whatever the heck it is, and I opened up a box of turmeric ginger bone broth from Kettle and Fire. And I mean, no joke, the stuff is really good. You can go over to my Instagram and actually see that I did this. It's sitting there. And just for a little while, I had my sinuses open yesterday, and it was great. So if you want 10% off turmeric ginger bone broth and a whole bunch of other options from Kettle and Fire. And by the way, they got soups now too, mushroom bisque and a whole bunch of others.
Really?
Yeah. 10% off. Go to kettleandfire.com. Use code BetterHumanhood at checkout. That's kettleandfire.com. Use code BetterHumanhood at checkout for 10% off. Hey, you remember our friend Awilda Rivera?
Yes.
Yeah, well, she's not paying us to say anything about this, but thought we should mention that she's got a full moon beach yoga retreat with a personal chef and everything coming up next spring. If you head over to her website, which is awildarivera.com, you can sign up for that. And I know she's got a special deal going on through October 15th. After that, the price goes up fairly significantly.
Oh, yeah, we haven't seen her in a while.
But I got an email from her, and I said, yeah, we could talk about that. But she's got big stuff going on. She had a book come out this year, too.
Oh, really?
So she's doing big things. Yeah, we should probably have her back on to chat, since she's doing so much. But
world-renowned, all over the place, yeah. And she was a fun interview.
Yeah, she was. Yeah, maybe we play some music, and on the other side of it, we'll come back and talk about us instead of everybody else.
Okay.
Podcast, where we talk about better humanhood and teach you how to dominate your world. You ready? Here we go. Hey, so what you got going on?
What have I got going on?
Yeah, I mean, it's the end of August. Things are cooling off. I don't know about up there, but it's only been creeping into the low 90s here, so been able to actually let the baby go outside occasionally.
We have had some of the most unpredictable weather, in my opinion. I don't actually know if the weather stations are predicting it, because I don't actually look at my phone to see what's coming up. I just kind of look out the window and go, wonder what's going to happen. So, unpredictable may be a misnomer. But we've been having a lot of rain. Like yesterday, I had a picnic with the Photographer Society. In the morning, it was just crazy rain. And then midday, it cleared up about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. The sky started to part. By the time we got to the picnic, it was hot and humid and sunny. So, and that was just local. So we've had some days like that where it starts out like that. It ends up like cooler and better.
We're usually good for a storm in the afternoon about 5 days a week in the summer.
Really?
Yeah. Last week I was hoping to get some pork chops on the grill on Friday, and it started to just come down in buckets at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And, because I'm one of those charcoal guys, so you got to give it half an hour, 45 minutes to get going before you actually throw some food on the grill.
Mm-hmm.
I was watching the skies, and it just kept coming down. I'm like, I'm going to have to make a decision by about 4:30 if I want to eat before 8 o'clock.
Right.
Because if I don't light the grill, I got to cook the stuff in the oven, and I already got it marinating to cook like I grilled it. So
right.
It turned out perfect. It ended. The rain ended. I got out there. I was able to shake everything dry and got stuff on, and we were eating by 6:30.
Cool.
Yeah. Anyway.
Well, I haven't even hazarded the grill thing this year, so maybe next year we'll do it. But anyway, so other than that, it's been good. I mean, we've actually had the last couple of weeks, some good thunderstorms come through. I mean, the trees are dipping and the leaves are making a horrible, like, you're going to rip me off noise, and lightning's popping around. And I like lightning storms as long as the lightning stays in the sky and not, say, connecting with a tree that's in my yard and stuff like that. I like those. But it was kind of nice. And then just listening to the rain, with a little wind blowing, that's kind of soothing sometimes. So it's a dichotomy, I guess.
Yeah, when I use I use the Oak app for meditation, and when I do an unguided meditation,
mm-hmm.
I usually put on, instead of just sitting there in silence,
mm-hmm.
I usually put on like light rain on a low volume.
Right.
And that way, if I wander too far, then that brings me back.
Mm-hmm.
Hearing it's almost white noise, but it's so, even the recorded version is so relaxing and gentle. Yeah. Every time we get a decent rain, I try to bring the baby out on the porch to watch it and listen for a while.
Cool. So she's gonna like rain.
Yeah, I was thinking about how we view weather, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you just got to be someplace and it's raining, so you just deal with it. But Josh Waitskin, who is he's the inspiration for Searching for Bobby Fischer, the movie and the book. One of the things he says about parenting is, no matter what it's doing outside, he always goes outside to play with his kids.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's a great day out, he said, God gave us this great day to go enjoy, and if it's raining out, God gave us this great rain to enjoy. It's just a different thing. It doesn't have to come with this bad value judgment.
Right.
And maybe you wanna stay out of the lightning because that stuff will kill you. Really injure you.
Well, I've got very, very curly hair because.
But unless you're the Wicked Witch of the West, a little rain never hurt anybody.
For the most part.
A little rain never hurt anybody. A lot of rain has hurt people, but
yeah. Lastly, we even had a flood warning. We had a flash flood warning, and we had what's that? Oh, we had a tornado watch. Strangely enough.
Yeah, it happens occasionally up there. But
I was coming back from
seeing
a party the other day, and we had one of those rainstorms where suddenly you could not see. Everybody slowed down to about nothing because the rain was coming down so hard and so fast that you couldn't see where you were going. So we got flashes going on, and it was kind of a weird thing coming through some of the back roads where, you know, we got hills and stuff. It was kind of weird. Out on the throughway, though, I mean, it was kind of interesting, but it didn't last. It came and it went. You know, so as long as you manage not to like lose your bearing at the time, it was kind of cool. But it was.
But so, yeah, you know, I was reading last week about a tow truck driver up in Utica, up your way.
Oh.
Who got fired? He made the rounds on social media. AAA sent him out to rescue some people whose cars got stranded.
Right.
In flooded waters, and he was like, "Well, hey, you got to get out of your car because your battery could blow up." I didn't
know that.
But he the water was so deep that he had trouble moving in his work gear, so he stripped down to his boxers, and he was hooking the tow line up, grabbing people, pulling their cars out of the flood.
Yeah.
And he got fired because the company looked at the pictures and was like, "You are putting our equipment in danger, dude.
Get out of here." Really?
Yep. We'll link that up.
Oh, wow.
I know somebody started a GoFundMe for him. I don't know if anybody actually offered him a job, though.
Wow. Did he get some people out of that mess?
He sure did.
Well, somebody ought to do something, because I don't know that I would have taken his risks. But apparently he knew what he was doing. So,
well, I mean, yeah,
interesting stuff, man.
Yeah, they sent him out on the job, and he decided to do the job. Yeah, good for him.
I'm sure there was a lot of thankful people that day. So, we got something interesting to talk about today, don't we?
Yeah, we do. We wanted to talk about a little bit about personality tests, but really we're going to focus on the love languages.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got your book in front.
We seem to run into a lot of other stuff, though, on the way to talk about them, right? Because we did up Clifton and Myers-Briggs and all kinds of stuff out here. Now,
I don't have my love languages book handy. I saw you were waving it around. Who wrote it?
Oh, Gary Chapman. Chapman, Chapman. Yep. Now, his is talking about, the secret to love that lasts, the 5 love languages. And I don't know if I wanted to go that deep into it because it hasn't got me married yet, but there's some very pertinent education here on how people show affection and appreciation and those kinds of things. And right. Somebody said once that nobody really cares how much you know until they know how much you care, or something like that. And this book puts a focus on so you like to be treated a certain way, but someone else may find value in something else. And if they're communicating to you, if they're doing the things for you that they find valuable and you're not communicating, you may misread their intent and stuff like that. So it took a lot of, it made me think a lot, actually. So, and I have to watch it to see how other people are responding, because everybody doesn't live on the same level,
Right. So, I mean, I got two very interesting things out of the book. One is my wife knows her love languages.
Mm-hmm.
They are physical touch and words of affirmation, which means that now I know what she needs.
Right.
But then I found out my love languages,
Mm-hmm.
which are quality time and acts of service. So now I know what I need.
Mm-hmm.
And I have words to communicate that and like a guide to say, I'm not feeling loved and fulfilled. This is what I need.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like for a lot of us,
Mm-hmm.
we don't know how to communicate that. Like we might be really good at meeting other people's needs,
Right.
but we're not sure how to have our needs met because we don't know what they are. And I'm betting that pertains a lot more to men than women.
You think?
Just a thought.
Just a hit. Just a notion, huh? Yeah.
It's just a notion that occurs to me, yes.
I think you might be right. Now, you like to do research. Have they done any studies on what percentage it actually affects? Whether men know. Most people say that all men want is sex, and that does it. Which that's not entirely true, in my case anyway. So,
Right. I mean, nor mine. Sex is nice, and we all have aspects of all five, right?
yeah.
The other one is gifts, right? We talked about
Yep.
4 of them already. We all enjoy physical touch and words of affirmation and getting gifts, and we enjoy them all to some extent. But the idea is to pick two primary ones that
Right.
really speak to you. And it turns out, I don't know percentages of men versus women who know this stuff, who fall into what categories. What I do know is that when you compare it to other personality tests, it's the only one that meets social science standard guidelines for significance is what they call it. At 95%, it's the only one. It's the only one of the tests that if you take it over and over under different stressors, under different circumstances, 95% of the time, you will replicate your results. So, we can talk a little bit about CliftonStrengths, which used to be StrengthsFinder, and which I think in 3 weeks become just Gallup Strengths or whatever. I got an email about that. We can talk about Myers-Briggs and how that shows up for companies and whatever. But the only one that really seems to capture us is love languages. And it speaks to something a little deeper, and maybe because it's about need and not description, which I think is really what the other personality tests do, is they describe something about us or other people to understand.
Okay, I can go with that. There's another one I took called Personality Dimensions, but it I'm trying to think if it addressed needs. No, that well, it did talk about how things affected us, but
Okay.
How we could be communicated to and stuff like that, but not necessarily, not on the same level as 5 love languages go. And 5 love languages is one of those things where, I mean, you don't need a special test to do it. You just read the book, answer a couple questions, and you go, oh, let's figure that out. And then you can reflect on it. Really, it's very easy to reflect on. You know, like I got CliftonStrengths here, and it tells me that, you know, one of my top 5 strengths is woo.
Yeah, do you have the description there for that? Because I remember when I was actually in a course, a leadership course, and that's why I took the CliftonStrengths.
Yeah.
And that was one that came up, and people were like, "Huh?
Like, what the heck is woo?"
Right.
So woo is, let me see. I'm going to read it here. Woo stands for winning others over. Yeah. It says you enjoy the challenge of meeting new people and getting them to like you. Strangers are rarely intimidating to you. On the contrary, strangers can be energizing. And it's got some more stuff here, but you know, winning others over. So
that's pretty up there, and positivity was another one of your.
Yeah. My number one is positivity. According
you do call yourself the Prince of Positive. So.
I do. I do. Right, I don't think I use them to figure it out, dude. What is it? You're generous with praise, quick to smile, and always on the lookout for the positive in the situation. I do that. But number 2 for me, for Clifton, was intellection. And I'm like, okay, what does that mean? Basically, it's like you like to think. Not necessarily about anything in particular. You like exercising the muscles of the brain. That sometimes can be a liability, I think. But
I think any of the strengths can be a liability. You know, woo, you know, winning others over. Like, you might make a really good friend out of Charles Manson, and the next thing you know, you're part of the Manson family.
No, they won't pass that up. Yeah.
You know, and you might be blinded by positivity and not see the potential danger in a situation, right?
That's possible.
Like, I mean, it's all. So
it's a mix. It's a good mix,
right? It's all a matter of understanding where your strengths are and making them work for you, I think.
Yeah. But by the same token here, there's nothing in, you know, I got a strength of woo. There's nothing I can give to someone else really that tells them how to meet me there, unless they just are willing to be won over, which is a different thing altogether, right?
No, but you can, let's say you're on the board of an organization.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, because that never happened.
I've done that.
You know, if you're the guy with the woo strength,
mm-hmm.
You know, you might be the guy that they send out into the ether to bring more people in, because you're the one who brings people in, right?
And to tame the tigers, you know. Yeah. I have had that position, but yeah. Still though, when you start comparing it to other things, you know, it measures something different than what the 5 love languages does, and I think
right.
You had a really good point when you said, well, I haven't done a research on whether or not it's repeatable or, you know, all that other stuff, but it's very easy to communicate to someone else. Once you take the test and realize it yourself, it's very easy to communicate to someone else what is important to you and what makes you feel valued.
Right. Well, and now you understand your strength. Like my top 5. And if you know me well, these aren't going to surprise you. Strategic, learner, analytical, achiever, and deliberative.
Yeah.
You know, if you were given a list of like 31 or 32 of them, if you were given the whole list and you were going to pick out what you thought were my top 5, you'd probably get 4 of them right.
Yeah.
just blindly picking them out. But what knowing that allowed me to do was go to my boss at work and say, that thing you hate doing that's part of your job, you can give it to me, because look, this is one of the things that's my strength.
Mm-hmm.
And as we know from flow research, if we're playing to our strengths, if we're incorporating our strengths into our work, we are more fulfilled.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Again, once we figure out what those strengths are, and actually we don't even have to know, but sometimes it gets us in trouble before we realize what the strengths are.
And maybe the strengths aren't always accurate or useful, but I think they're a good tool to keep in mind. The same way Myers-Briggs is fairly binary. There aren't many options. So one day you take the test, you might be 51% of one thing and 49% of the other, and that the following week that could vary 2 to 3% and flip you the other way. But it's at least instructive in a group environment.
Mm-hmm.
You and I are almost the same. Myers-Briggs. And
really?
I wonder, you're an ENTJ.
Yeah.
I'm an INTJ.
You're more intellectual than I am.
No, it's introverted versus extroverted. That's the I versus the E. The others are intuitive, thinking, and judgmental. So.
Oh yeah.
So I wonder how many Scorpios are NTJ. Because we're both Scorpios.
Yeah.
We're both NTJ.
Starting to be a little, might be some research in there. And
I don't put any notion in horoscopes, but if you read up what a Scorpio is, it's kind of spot on for me.
Seems to go right.
Yeah.
The thing we talk about the rest of the INTJ, ENTJ. What I realized recently was that I used to think that extroverted was just how I relate to people, but I had a very good education recently on just what that means, and while how I react to people is one thing, how I recharge tends to be more of what that's really about. A lot of people that I think are just shy or whatever, they can go out and do some really cool stuff, but when they recharge, they need to come back and get quiet. What I found not too long ago was that when I recharge, I'm great in a group, but when I recharge, I just come back to my place and I can sit and I don't know if that's how I always was, but that's what I've kind of gone into. So I can still do the public thing very well.
Mm-hmm.
But when I need to recharge, it's like pretty much me and quiet. Sometimes I play jazz, but.
Right. And remember, there aren't absolutes with them. Right. Nobody's 100% extroverted. Nobody's 100% introverted.
Nice mix. Yeah.
But we all have some of each in us. But like, if I go to a party, I'm in the corner a good portion of the time because I do not get energy from other people.
Mm-hmm.
There are a few other people,
right,
who I get energy being around, but even that is not a long period. Especially at the beginning of a party, particularly if I don't know a lot of people.
Right.
I will wander the perimeter. I will I will listen into conversations and kind of get an idea of what they're talking about in what part of the room and where I want to be. where I want to put my time and my energy, because it's very expensive from an energy standpoint.
Right.
For me to be in a group and talking, particularly strangers.
Mm-hmm.
Particularly if I'm just meeting people. I don't have that. I don't have that woo.
Me on the other hand, I'm good with that. Unless they're grumpy, in which case I leave them alone. That's a choice, though. So that is the Myers, the Myers and the Clifton. But and weirdly enough, the whole conversation started about love languages. Now, back when I was first getting cozy with Tony Robbins, because he's, if I had to, Tony Robbins is absolutely a magnificent guru for me. So a lot of what I've learned about people in life and dealing with people and getting over stuff has come via Tony Robbins. But in his first book that I read, which was Unlimited Power, he had a conversation where he was talking about how do you know what's important to your mate or your friend or your whomever. And he came up with a really interesting technique. He said, ask them. Right?
Ooh.
What makes you feel loved? What do I do? What do you need coming from me to just make you feel like I love you, I value you, I whatever. And it was an amazing concept. Instead of reading a book that tells me how they might be, that, I can just ask, what makes you feel important?
Well, and the other end of that, and I think this is something that, love languages teaches us. Another end of that is, I should know the answer to that question if somebody ever asks me.
Yes. And most of us, particularly men, I don't think we actually think about that. We have some societal norms that we think we're supposed to represent, that's supposed to make us feel good about whatever, but I don't know that we actually on an individual basis spend much time going, what is it really that makes me feel like I'm a valued human being to someone else? And I probably was guilty of that too at some degree. But again, the love languages has done a lot for me in that, because you take something as simple as physical touch. I've always been a touch guy. I'm here in Syracuse. I'm in Toastmasters, and I'm a ex Amway distributor, and I'm known as the district hugger. They're like, no matter where Kelvin goes, all over the district, people are hugging him all over the place. He's hugging people. It's just, I've never seen that before. I've never been a hugger, but heck, I'll take a hug from Calvin. And I never actually realized that, but that's what I do. And strangely enough, you find those people because when you start studying touch and stuff, hugging is, I used to consider, depending on what you read now, hugging is one of the pure forms of affection versus, it's not sex. That's
right.
That's affection. In my world, that's what it is. It's not any manipulative thing. Because if I don't like you, I don't want to be hugging you. Let's leave me alone. I don't want to talk to you. That kind
and it really is an antidepressant. Hugging your friends.
Yeah. We had that thing in the MKMMA when they still do that during the course, right? You go out for a day and offer free hugs.
Oh, free hugs, yeah. Well, it's interesting when you meet those guys. They, I don't remember them talking about this in the course.
Uh-huh. Oh, you don't? Oh, really?
But when they hug,
yeah.
they hug on the left shoulder, so it's heart to heart.
Right. Right. I learned about that probably a couple of years ago from a spiritual coach and a person here, energy worker, who talked to me about heart to heart hugs, and I was like, "Oh, really? Okay." So I love those.
Yeah. So that made sense to me. The way that putting a name tag on your right side made sense to me. You know, I'm right-handed. You know, I always put my name tag on my left breast and you know, my left shoulder. And then somebody said, "Oh, well, when you shake hands, you reach across with your right hand, so you're always looking at the right side. Mm-hmm. So put your name tag there because that's where your eyes are going." Like, oh, okay, duh.
It took me a long time to learn that, Josh. So, and I may still need reminders from time to time. So, yeah, strengths and languages, and I think they took us a couple of places we didn't necessarily intend to go initially, but so.
Well, I think that's one of the great things about podcasting is we start a conversation and it goes
wherever it goes.
It goes where it goes, and we try not to script too much. Yeah, we had a little bit of this conversation before we started, but not much.
Yeah. Which has never yet served to keep us on track, but that's the way that it goes. So, yeah. So we got our strengths from Gallup, and we got our love languages from
Mr. Chapman there.
Five love languages. Got a little bit of Myers-Briggs in there to talk about. We didn't do a lot of excessive. I think that was one of the originals because you can find almost all their stuff someplace. I don't even know if they're doing that as a real test anymore. But there's a lot of Myers-Briggs lookalikes out there. It may have just become a generic thing.
Yeah, they're just personality assessments. So a lot of companies use them in the interview process.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to see some company compatibility.
So it's good.
Yeah, and then like you did MKMMA, like we've taken the color test.
Yeah. That was still a weird one in my world.
Yeah. Well, mine too, and especially because it shifted a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, and they wanted me to answer questions from the viewpoint of my childhood.
Yes.
And that was very, very tough for me because I don't remember a lot of my childhood.
And you're not the same. You're not the same human you were as a child.
Yeah.
You have made an intentional separation from what your childhood was like to who you are as an adult.
Right. So it was tough, and still is, and then once you get over so many of them, and you're bouncing back and forth between them, and it's like, okay. And a lot of them like to use colors, and the colors in one test don't always mean the colors in another test.
Right.
It's like, okay, you need a PhD in this stuff to figure it out. But on the 5 love languages, it's very
got that nailed down.
Plain. Once you learn, and with this, you can even observe people and what they do. Because it's a physical thing. They like to do this for you. If somebody's always bringing you gifts, you can pretty much figure out, oh, gifts. That's a love language, which means if they're bringing me a lot of them, eventually I should give them something back.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Just to.
It's like, yeah, if you haven't had this discussion with somebody,
yeah,
they're probably trying to love you the way they want to be loved.
Right.
Even if it doesn't. Doesn't work for you.
Yeah, I know a lot of people who don't like gifts, and acts of service. that tends to make it feel a little obligatory, like, oh, they did this for me, so I got to do this for them, and I don't want to do that, and that messes with you too. So until you learn what that's really saying,
right,
it could be troublesome. But it's a good way to open up some conversation to find out who people really are. Right?
It's true.
So I enjoy that, and it helps us. It helps us learn more. So, what do you think? What's yours? Oh, your active service and
quality time.
And quality time. I like quality time.
Yeah.
Is that what we do in the bars when I come to Savannah and say hi?
That's right. I'm gonna turn your phone off and just be, or leave your phone in your pocket and just be, kind of guy. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Well,
one's awake.
Yep. She's talking it up.
There you go. So.
All right. So I think we did it.
I believe so.
Go ahead. Go by AwildaRivera.com. Pay our old friend a visit, and if you want to save 10% off your bone broth and your new favorite soup, go on over to kettleandfire.com. Fill up your box. Save 10% with code BetterHumanhood at checkout. Come by JKWDpodcast.com for show notes and all that stuff. Go subscribe to VitaminKDaily.com. 4 weeks free, and then some silly little amount a day that's like less than a dime or something. And
9.5 cents, but who's counting? Yeah.
That's less than a dime. All right.
Because it's only 5 days a week, or otherwise it would be. And it's good stuff out here. That's what people keep telling me. And
we will see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Hey, thanks for listening. Show notes and more at jkwdpodcast.com. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share with your friends, and we will see you next week. Bye. A Better Humanhood production.